Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. First order of business today is to keep the promise that I made yesterday. Yesterday, my vlog went on a little longer than I had anticipated, so I was not able to get to the main topic that I wanted to talk about yesterday. So I said yesterday that I would try to get to it today, but if other events between then and now occurred that would preclude my getting to that topic today, that I wouldn't just leave you hanging wondering what it was that I wanted to talk about. So just to inform everybody, what I wanted to do yesterday was, I'm sure you're familiar with the letter that Trump wrote to Nancy Pelosi yesterday just before the impeachment vote. It was a very scathing letter, but it also made his case very well. I thought the letter was so good that I couldn't figure out a way to pull little quotes out of it, so I was going to read the whole letter. That's what I wanted to do yesterday. I wanted to put the letter in little chunks up on the screen and read the entire letter, maybe put in some comments. But since then, things have happened. Now, if you really want me to read the letter, put the request in the comments section, and I could do it in a future vlog. But to my thinking, the time has passed. It's no longer ripe, as the lawyers like to say. So I am just going to suggest that you read the letter if you haven't already. It's, well, maybe I'll link to it if I can remember. But read the letter. It is really an extraordinary letter. And it drove a lot of Democrats crazy, too, by the way. So that's a reason to read it right there. So I want to talk about, well, one more little item of business before I go on. Well, it is about impeachment. So this is a poll from Zogby Analytics. Here's the question. Do you believe that Democrats in Congress are more concerned with the impeachment of President Trump or passing legislation that helps Americans? As you can see, 67%, that's over 2/3 of the respondents, believe that Congress is more interested in impeaching Trump than in doing the nation's business. And only 22% think that Congress, the House, wants to do the country's business. So I just wanted you all to see that poll there. It shows that the American people are not as stupid, I guess that's the way to put it, not as stupid as some of our Democratic friends think they are, and I may talk more about this assumed stupidity a little bit later in the vlog, but it looks like they understand what's going on, which is what I've been thinking all along. The American people, the more they see this process go on, or what I call it a circus, the impeachment circus, the more they understand that it is just a partisan hit job. That's the proof in this poll here. Now we get to the main part of the subject that I want to talk today, and this is, well, this again harkens back to yesterday. Yesterday I had said that the Democrats are not getting the results from impeachment that they were expecting. They were expecting, well, this was their assumption, I think, from the very beginning. They hate Donald Trump, and they just assumed, well, it gets us to the assumed stupidity that I was just referring to just a moment ago. I think that our Democratic friends think they are so much smarter than the rest of us, that they saw how terrible Trump was, but he pulled the wool over our eyes, that we were just stupid. We just could not see how bad he was, but that once he took office, that we would realize that the Democrats were right, and we would come to hating Trump as much as they do. So much, which is how much they hate him so much, that we would welcome any pretext, no matter how flimsy, no matter how thin, no matter how ridiculous, on which to remove him from office. Obviously, it has not turned out that way. And as I just said, the longer the process goes on, the stronger Trump gets. It's not working for them, so they came up with this idea that I mentioned yesterday. It started with, I believe, Lawrence Tribe, and others are picking it up since then. I've seen a number of articles on it, and the idea was to, well, they already did it. They voted the articles of impeachment, but not to send them to the Senate, just to leave it hanging so they can try to tar Trump with impeachment, but not let him get vindicated. Well, Nancy Pelosi spoke this morning. So here's the headline. Nancy Pelosi signals she may freeze impeachment after vote so Trump can't claim Senate vindication. Talk about your quid pro quo. After ramrodding through the tissue-thin impeachment articles in the House of Representatives, Speaker Nancy Pelosi is now threatening to withhold the Democrats' case unless she can dictate the terms of the Senate trial. The majority leader of the Senate, Mitch McConnell, hasn't weighed in on Pelosi's plan to take over his domain. Pelosi, Congressman Adam Schiff, and Senator Chris Van Hollen have now all floated the idea of freezing the House vote where it is and not sending the impeachment articles to the U.S. Senate, where President Trump would undoubtedly go down in history as being vindicated. Pelosi said, quote, "So far we haven't seen anything that looks fair to us," unquote, and vowed to withhold naming the House managers, the prosecutors, of the impeachment case until McConnell gives her the kind of, quote, fair trial, unquote, that she demands. The prevent defense by the Democrats would, in the words of Fox News host Laura Ingraham, allow Pelosi to, quote, say we've impeached the president, but not let him say he was acquitted, unquote. Constitutional law expert John Eastman was stunned that Pelosi would break with yet another precedent. There's certainly no precedent for withholding articles of impeachment. When the House passes a resolution or a bill, it necessarily must go to the Senate for consideration. This is not a single House resolution. This is something that requires the participation of both houses of Congress. Again, completely uncharted territory. But if she doesn't send them over there, it just proves that this is a sham, or as I like to say, a circus. And that is exactly what is happening. She doesn't want to send them over because, well, this is the part that made me smile, where she said earlier that she didn't want to send the articles over until she could be ensured that the trial in the Senate would be fair. Let's put that into English. This is what she really means. She doesn't want to send them over unless she is assured that Trump will be removed from office. She knows now that she's not going to get the 2/3 of the Senate vote needed to remove Trump from office. But let's be honest, because it should have been obvious. I mean, it was to everybody except maybe the most partisan Trump-hating Democrat or never-Trumper, independent or conservative or Republican, never Trumper, that there was no chance that the Senate was going to garner the 2/3 votes necessary to remove Trump from office. One theory I heard this morning is that the reason that Nancy Pelosi went through with this whole thing was not for the good of the country or because she believed that he should have been impeached, but to keep her job, knowing or at least believing that if she did not allow this impeachment that the extreme left wing of her party has been pushing for and pushing for and pushing for, that she would not be speaker after this Congress. So, or majority leader if she loses the House, which I see increasingly as a possibility that the Republicans will retake the House. I am hoping that happens. But here's what McConnell said. Put this headline up. McConnell fires back. Let's adopt the 1999 rules with the option for dismissal. What McConnell is referring to here is the trial of Bill Clinton in 1999 in the Senate, the rules that were adopted then. Those rules, number one, they were adopted, as I understand, unanimously. All of the Democrats voted for these rules, and these rules did contain an option to simply just dismiss the whole thing. So the question now is, well, it's the one that McConnell, I believe, asked. If it's good enough for Clinton, or if it was good enough for Bill Clinton, why is it not good enough for Donald Trump? So if he does do that, if he does propose the 1999 rules that the Democrats in the Senate at that time approved unanimously, what is Nancy Pelosi's excuse for not sending over the articles of impeachment? Now, this is interesting. This is going to be the last article on this subject for today, and it's going to be the last word on this subject. But the assumption underlying the withholding of the articles of impeachment is that the Senate can not hold the trial until and unless the House sends over the articles of impeachment. But there is at least one lawyer. Actually, there is more than one lawyer. There is also a lawyer in the White House. I don't remember which lawyer it is, but there are lawyers proposing that that is not true, that the articles of impeachment having been passed, they don't have to go to the Senate because the Constitution does not say that the articles have to go over to the Senate. That's the first aspect of this. But the other one is that the Senate, just as the House has the sole power to impeach, the Senate has the sole power to run the trial. So let me give you the headline, some quotes, and then we'll wind the blog up for today. Pollak is the author of the article. He's a lawyer. I don't know his first name, but he's a lawyer. He graduated from Harvard, for whatever that's worth. Anyways, Pollak, Senate can acquit even if House withholds articles of impeachment. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi appears to be considering an idea Democrats have floated for several days of holding back the articles of impeachment to exercise leverage over the Senate and the President. Unfortunately for them, the Senate can act regardless and would vote to acquit. That's because the Constitution is absolutely clear about the Senate's authority. Article 1, Section 3 says, quote, "The Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments," unquote. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court presides over a trial involving the President, but the Senate makes the rules, and the Senate is controlled by Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who regards what the House has done with contempt. This is the key part coming up here. If Pelosi refuses to submit the articles of impeachment to the Senate, McConnell can convene the Senate anyway, summon the Chief Justice, and swear in the senators as jurors. Democrats can boycott, but they can't stop the trial. McConnell can then propose to dismiss the charges or even hold a vote to acquit the president. Pelosi can hide the articles of impeachment in Adam Schiff's basement forever, and it won't make a difference. Case closed. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. As I've said in the past, we have to stay tuned and see what happens. We have to see Pelosi this morning in a press conference said that she was withholding submitting the articles of impeachment to the Senate. Now we have this counter argument. We'll have to see how it turns out. But I'm going to end on this point. A couple of days ago or yesterday, we had Gerald Nadler explaining why the House could not take time to go to court to get the witnesses they wanted, to hire an investigator, whatever, to take the necessary time to do the job right. One reason, obviously, is because if you have an independent investigator, he is not going to find any impeachable offenses. But Nadler's stated excuse was the urgency, that it had to be done as quickly as possible so that Trump could not steal another election, even though he did not steal the first one. That's one of the things, besides Trump being elected in the first place, to which they cannot reconcile themselves even after all this time. But my point is, what happened to the urgency? Now we have Nancy Pelosi saying that she will hold these articles indefinitely. We had Gerald Nadler, Adam Schiff, other Democratic representatives stressing the urgency that this had to be done right away. Now they're saying that they are willing to hold on to these articles of impeachment and prevent the Senate trial indefinitely. Well, I'll just let our Democratic friends explain that obvious contradiction. It's not my job. My job is to say to everybody, thumbs up if you like this video. Share it with anybody you think would also like the video. Got any comments? Put them in the comment section below the video. Got any questions? You can put those in the comment section too, or request to cover some topic that you would like me to cover. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. I love getting subscribers. And finally, come back and see me again. I look forward to seeing all of you again, and until I do see all of you again, bye.